Alright, so we're back for the second video of automating website deployment in Azure with Terraform. And in this video, we're going to focus on some Terraform specific improvements. The improvements we're going to make are we're going to randomly generate the password instead of using the static password we had previously set. We're going to create an outputs file, which this file will just output some values to the console that we think will be useful, for instance, public IP. We're going to create a variables file. This is where we describe the inputs Terraform expects. And we're also going to create a Terraform.TFvars file. This is where we can describe the actual values of the variables. I'm going to give an example. In the variables file, there is a default section which can also specify the variable. And then we're going to assign the variables inside the main.tf file. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get right to it. We can see here I am in the folder for this example of the project, and we have our main.tf file, our provider.tf file, our 8 images, and our script for setting up Nginx. So we'll go ahead with the first goal to randomly generate a password instead of using a static password. I want to show you something here that I showed in the last video. I'll go ahead and run Terraform and init, and we can see right now in our providers that we just have the Azure RM provider. I'll go ahead and I will go to this actual file structure, or the actual folder is what I mean. And I'll show you, now that we just ran that Terraform init, we have this .terraform file I mentioned last time. And here we can see the providers, and we see the Azure RM provider. So I just wanted to show you that because for this next section of randomly generating the password, instead of using a static, we're going to add a second provider, and it is called the random provider. So I'll go ahead and start adding this here. We'll do the exact same as the above. We have to specify the source. The source for this one is HashiCorp/random. We also need to put the version, and we will do that as the version. So now that we have that, we're going to have to go to our main.tf file, and we're going to need to go ahead and scroll down and find our passwords section here. So we can see right here that here's where we statically assign the password. So at the moment, as this is, every single time that this is provisioned and we run Terraform apply, it's always going to use the password that we have listed. So we're going to have to first start with the random section. So let's go ahead here and we'll do resource random password. And I actually want to put this down one. It doesn't matter where it is, but just I feel like logically above the virtual machine is a better spot. And then we will do the Terraform label. So this is just specific to Terraform. And you can see us calling the random provider and using password. And we'll go ahead and do length. We'll make our password 16. And special characters will be true. Okay. So now every time we run Terraform, a random password of 16 characters will be generated. But right now it's still not filling in our use case of needing the admin password to not be this every time. So we need to go ahead and specify this here in both locations. And we can do this by typing random underscore password, and you can see it's already populating. And then we need to do dot value. I'm sorry, actually we need to do dot result. And we'll copy that down here. And we'll go ahead and save. So with these changes, we have now set it up where we'll have a random password generated every time we run Terraform apply. Alright, now that we just finished getting our random password set up, I just wanted to show you something quickly with the providers and the reason I showed you that .terraform file. So now that we have this random provider here, if we're to run Terraform init, Now that .terraform file, we'll actually go ahead and add that provider there. And I just wanted to show you that. So we'll go ahead and we'll go into here, and we can see the random provider coming up here. Anyways, now that I showed you that, we'll move on to the next step, which is creating our outputs file. So I've already went ahead and done a new file, outputs.tf, and it's just a blank file. I'll show you our current project structure here in PowerShell. Just one moment. Get the path. All right, so now we have the main.tf, the outputs.tf, and the provider.tf, all the same files. So before we make this outputs file, I just wanted to inform you of one thing that's kind of Terraform specific. If we were to take this provider file and the outputs file, and actually the variables file we are going to make, and put them all inside the main.tf file, everything would work completely fine. This is just a best practice and a structural thing, making separate files. So now that I've informed you of that, we can actually go ahead and just start with the outputs file. So to make an output, you do the command output, and then the label. So for this, we'll do resource group name. This is one of the things I want to output. And we can do description, and I'll do the name of the resource group, and value, and we want to select the resource group name, so we'll look in here, and we have the resource group, so that sounds like it would be for the name, and we'll do dot name. Another thing I want to output is the VNet information. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing. This is just the description. This is just going to show you what the description of it is. It'll show you in the terminal once we run this, and I'll show you that once we're completed with everything. And we'll do the VNet has the following information, and we'll do a value, and here I'm going to put in two things. For the name, and we'll also do the address space. So we'll go to the virtual network again under the Azure RM provider, and we'll do .vnet and address space. Next up in our outputs file, I want to do the virtual machine name. We'll go ahead and do output virtual machine name, brackets, description. The virtual machine name is, and we'll do the value. We can just start typing in Azure, and we'll look for what looks like the virtual machine name. There we go. And we'll do dot, and here you can see we can scroll through if we weren't sure, dot name. And for the last one, this is the public IP. I think this is actually the most valuable. So the most logical way to do this would be public IP. But just to show you that this is a Terraform specific value and what's in these quotes doesn't really matter, I'm just going to do something random for this one. So I'll go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, ABC, you know me. All right, and we'll do brackets, we'll do description, and the description, what we actually see, I'll do the public IP to connect to the web server is, and for the value, we're going to do Azure RM, and let's see, we have public IP right here, and dot IP address. So with this, we have completed our output section. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and do our third improvement, which is making the variables.tf file. I'll go here, do new file, and do variables.tf. Save it, and we're ready for this. To do a variable, you can type in variable, put the name of the variable. I'll do project prefix, And for every variable here, we're going to do a description. So we'll do the prefix to use for this project, a type, which I'm going to use string. All these examples are going to be strings. There's other types of variables you could do, such as int, boolean. So I just want you to be aware there are other types of variables. For this example, it's going to be all strings. Later in the project, we'll add a few other types of variables. And the default value. So this will be the value that would be used if nothing's specified in the file we're going to make next, the TFvars file. So I'm going to copy and paste this just to make it easier. I have 4 variables I want to go ahead and make here. And the next variable is going to be location. So if you wanted to change the location of the things from, say, central, like of the resources from, say, central US to east US or another region, that's how you would go ahead and do this. And we'll give it a description here of the location of the resources in Azure. And for the default location, we'll leave it as central US. And next up, under location, we'll go ahead and do VM size. So in case if you wanted to use a different sized virtual machine, maybe you wanted to beef it up and make it a little bit bigger. So we'll do the size of the VM to deploy. And under default, we'll use what we currently have in our main.tf file. And the final variable, which I think will be the probably least useful, but it's still good to have, is the admin username. And this would just be if you wanted to change the username of the admin account for the web server. So we'll do the username of the admin account for the Nginx virtual machine. And we'll leave the default value is Azure user. So now we're all set on our variables.tf file. Currently, all these variables in this file is actually doing nothing, since we haven't specified them yet in the main.tf file. Alright, so I'm going to go a little out of order from our first PowerPoint, and I'm going to specify these variables in the main.tf file now. So the first variable is the project prefix. And my plan for this variable was to put this in locations where it says name Koda pix rg. See how we have Koda pix in a bunch of places? And the thought process was, what if you wanted it to be named something else? So this will give you the ability to do that. So we can go ahead and I'm going to do Control H, which will be a find and replace here. And we're going to find anything that says Koda pix. We can see there's 8 things that say Koda pix, and we're going to replace them with how you insert the variable. So that will be $var dot, then we need to grab our variable project prefix, and oops. And just like that. And we got to go back to here, and there we go, and we'll replace all. So now we can see, for example, for the resource group, it'll be var.projectPrefix-rg. So in the case since it's specified here, the default is Koda pix. What this will actually make the resource group name right now is Koda pix-rg. And now that we did that, we can move on to the next variable, which is going to be for the location. So let's see where we have the location specified. I believe it's just at the top here, but I'll go ahead and do a search anyways and just double check. Yep, so if we just change this in the location here at the top, we could do var.location to specify that the value of that variable will be taken for the location. Next up, we also need to do this for VM size. So let's go ahead and try to find the VM size. I guess we're just going to have to scroll down here to find this. There we go. So size right here, and we could do var.vmSize. And the final variable we need to specify is the admin username. So At this point, you probably guessed it. We find admin username, and that's actually in two places, user and admin username. And we could do var.admin username and var.admin username. So from here, we're ready to make the final file. And onto making the final file, we'll go ahead and do new file. And we'll call this Terraform.TFvars. This is where we're going to specify the values of our variables. And this file is pretty basic. We just take the variables names. Project prefix is equal to, and we'll do this for all the variables, location, VM size. Where is it? Okay, location is equal to, VM size is equal to, and the final one, admin username is equal to. And what we'll go ahead and do, we'll keep the defaults for all of these except for one. So we'll do Azure user here. For VM size, we'll keep this as well. And what I think is worth mentioning is if we didn't put anything on here, like if we left location blank, it would... Actually, I will leave location blank. It'll still know the location to pick based off the default value here. And to show you something overriding the default value Koda picks, we'll go ahead and make this TFvars file. We'll do Koda picks 2, since this is our second example. And that's it. That's all we need for this TFvars file. We can go ahead and save this. Alright, now that we've completed this, we're ready to go ahead and try to run this and see how it goes. So we'll go ahead and do Terraform init. And we can see we're encountering an error here. And we'll just go ahead and read this error and see if we can figure out why we're receiving this error. So Terraform encountered problems during initialization, including problems with configuration described below. And error invalid output name on outputs.tf line 19 and output 123 ABC, you know me. A name must start with a letter or underscore. It may contain only letters, digits, underscores, and dashes. So this is a good lesson in Terraform that when you're creating a variable or an output name, it cannot start with a number, it must start with a letter. So let's go ahead and just try to change this to A123 ABC, you know me. Go ahead and save that. And we'll try to initialize the project again. And we can see it seems to be working now. And we'll go ahead and do Terraform plan. And we're running into another error here, so we'll just go ahead and troubleshoot this as well. On main.tf line 3 and resource Azure rm underscore resource group rg name rg and an input variable with the name project prefix has not been declared. This variable can be declared with the variable project prefix block. And looking into this, it looks like the reason we're having this var.location issue was just because the default central-us should be central US. So it's very easy to get tripped up on little things like that. I went ahead and saved it. We'll try Terraform plan again and see if we have better luck. And we'll give this a minute to run. Just a reminder, Terraform plan is showing us what Terraform would do if we were to run Terraform apply. And now we can see everything seems to be working. So we're ready to go ahead and run Terraform apply. And before we do this, we'll just look into our variables file one more time. We'll go through the logic of what should happen. So since in TFvars, for the location, it's not specified, but in the variables file, we have central US. The central US location should be used. Next, in TFvars, the prefix should be Koda picks 2. So an example of our resource group would be, we'll just go down to here, and it would be Koda picks 2-RG, and that will be for all the resources created. And the VM size, we'll use this VM size. The admin username will be Azure user. So now that we've just reviewed that one final time, we'll go ahead and run Terraform apply. And this will turn our logical resources into actual resources inside Azure, creating everything like we did in the last video. I'll go ahead and type in yes here. And we can see the random admin password is creating and it's been completed. From here, I'll let this go ahead and run, give it another 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll see if our website is up and running. So I gave it some time, and we can navigate to the public IP. Must not have clicked on the public IP. And we can see the website is now running. And we'll go through Koda's story again. Just see everything running. One of these videos I'll take the time to read the whole story. Probably the last one. But yeah, so we see everything's good on here. And to finish this off, I'm going to show you one more thing that I didn't show you, but I did it behind the scenes. And that is destroying everything using Terraform. So it's very easy. We just need to navigate to the folder. And then you could just run, so you can see we're in the folder with everything we just set up. And in the Terraform.TF state file, it's aware of all the resources we have. So if we're run Terraform destroy, Terraform can actually go ahead and destroy all these resources. And I just realized I might have to log into Azure again. I probably will, but we'll give this a minute and see what happens. And it looks like it kept my Azure session alive. So we'll hit yes to destroy all these. And we can go into Azure and navigate to the resource group. And you can see it destroying the network security group and the VM. It's going to go through everything and destroy it. So I'll just pause here while this runs real quick. And Terraform destroy finished running. We can see destroy complete. Resources destroyed 9. We can see all the resources that it destroyed. And if we go to our resource groups, you'll see that that resource group no longer exists in Azure. So thanks for watching the second video. And in the next video, we'll go ahead and start doing some actual changes to the infrastructure we're deploying on Azure side inside Terraform.